We're going to discuss Parshas Balak. Parshas Balak is actually quite interesting and difficult because it discusses people that we're usually not talking about that much. In fact, most of the Torah is spoken by Moshe Rabbeinu. Parshas Balak, Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't say that much, if anything at all, were all the discussions of Balak and Bilam. The parsha itself is named for Balak, the Melech of Moab. The Gemara even says something very more difficult to understand, which is the Gemara Baba Basra, which says, Umi Kosvan, who wrote the different parts of the Torah, of the Tanakh? Moshe Kosav Sifro, Moshe Rabbeinu wrote his own Sefer, Uparshas Bilam, and the Parsha of Bilam, Ve'iyov. We're not going to discuss why Moshe Rabbeinu wrote Sefer Iyov now, but why is Parshas Bilam delineated as a separate Parsha? L'chora, Parshas Bilam is just as much a part of the Chamisha Chumshei Torah as any one of the other Parshas of the Torah, as the words of Lavan, as the words of Paro, as the words of the other people who are quoted in the Chumash. Why is Parshas Bilam given its own special designation that Moshe Rabbeinu wrote his Sefer and also the Sefer of Bilam? This question is discussed by a number of the great thinkers of Klal Yisrael and the great Baalei Machshava. Among the answers that are suggested are found, one is found in the Maharal and another in the Shloah HaKadosh. The Maharal in his Chedushei Agados says the following. He says, Moshe Kosav Sifro, Kosha, is not a problem. Isn't Parshas Bilam part of the Torah? And the entire Torah is called Torahs Moshe Avdi. And the answer seems to be that Moshe agreed with all the Nevuos of Bilam. Being as that the Nevuos of Bilam are actually very wide-ranging Nevuos. They talk about the end of days, they talk about Bias Mashiach, Dorach Kochav Miyakov, what will happen to the different nations. Therefore, one might think that these Nevuos of Bilam are so distant and so difficult that Moshe, they're not part of Torahs Moshe, there's something different. Therefore, the Gemara needs to teach us that this is also part of Torahs Moshe. It's not something separate, it's also part of what the Torah is going to be. That is what the Maharal says. However, the Shloah HaKadosh says something slightly different. And the Shloah HaKadosh says the following. He says, it's brought down in Chazal, that there is another Navi who is great as Moshe. Even though Kam Yisrael, Navi Moshe, however, Be'umos HaOlam Kam, and that is Bilam. And one might think that there are two parallel tracks of Nevuah. There's a track of Nevuah, Baruch HaKodesh, which the primary Navi is Moshe Rabbeinu, and then there's a track of Nevuah, which is Bilam, which in some way is Ruach HaTumah. And maybe these Nevuos of Bilam, because he said them, are tainted with this Tumah of Bilam. Therefore, the Gemara tells us that Moshe Rabbeinu is the one who wrote these Nevuos also. Moshe Rabbeinu took the Nevuos of Bilam and turned them into Nevuos of Kedusha also. Even though the original way that they appear is through the Tamei mouth of Bilam, as the Pasuk says, Vayiker, in a way of coincidence, not in a way of Vayikra, a lashon of Chiba, which Moshe Rabbeinu speaks to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we should know that ultimately these Nevuos are also said in the lashon of Chiba of Moshe Rabbeinu. And therefore we look forward to the day of Matovu O'alecha Yaakov, Mishkanosecha Yisrael, that Nevuah of Bilam, but being as it's translated through Moshe, reaches its fruition in the Batei Mikdash and the Batei Knesios of Klal Yisrael.